Today, the topic that I want to talk about is resistance. Resistance is the inner force that keeps us stuck. Most people think their problem is a lack of opportunity, lack of money, lack of confidence, or a lack of luck. But often, the real issue is resistance. The interesting thing about resistance is that it doesn't always look like resistance. Sometimes resistance looks like procrastination. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, and sometimes it looks like self doubt. At other times, it looks like perfectionism. And sometimes it looks like constantly searching for another technique, another affirmation, another course, another answer. But underneath all of these is the same thing, an internal conflict. One part of you wants change, another part of you is afraid of it. One part of you says, I want success. Another part says, what if I fail? One part of you wants a loving relationship. Another part of you says, what if I get hurt again? One part says, I want abundance. Another part says, what if I'm not worthy of it? Perhaps not in as many words exactly like that, but you know the internal dialogue that goes on in your mind, right? This inner contradiction creates resistance, and resistance consumes enormous amounts of energy. Imagine you're driving a car with one foot in the accelerator and your parking brake on, handbrake on, right? The engine is working, fuel is getting burned, there's a lot of effort, but very little movement. That is how many people live their lives. They're working hard externally while internally pulling themselves in the opposite direction. So the solution is not to force yourself harder. The solution is not to fight yourself. The solution begins with awareness, because you cannot dissolve what you do not first see. When you become aware of your fears, your conditioning, your emotional wounds, your limiting narratives, something interesting happens. The resistance begins to lose its grip because it's now seen. Not because you fought it, not because you suppressed it, but because awareness brings understanding. And understanding creates freedom. This is why sustainable manifestation is not about trying to attract something from the outside. It is about removing the internal friction that keeps you separated from what you seek. Many people ask me, how do I manifest? I say to them, a more useful question is, what am I resisting? What belief am I holding? What fear am I protecting? What story about myself am I still carrying? You know, the baggage we carry, the weight we carry through our lives. Because often the path forward is not about adding more, it is about seeing clearly what is already there. When resistance dissolves, energy that was trapped in conflict becomes available for clarity, for action, creativity, and transformation. And that is when change begins to happen naturally, not through force, not through struggle, but through alignment. Because the greatest obstacle to your next level is rarely outside of you. More often than not, it is the resistance within, and awareness is what reveals it. Your life changes not when you learn how to force reality to give you what you want. Your life changes when you become aware of the resistance that has been silently standing between you and the life you wish to create. Thank you.